All right, everybody. Hope you are having a great day. And the Texas Longhorns are about to face against the Ohio State Buckeyes in the semifinal matchup inside Dallas, the Cotton Bowl Stadium tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 Central Time for all of us Texas folks. Uh, like I said, semifinal matchups are here. You got Penn State versus Notre Dame tonight. Should be a ton of fun. Should be awesome to watch. But here we're going to be talking about the Texas Longhorns versus Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going to be giving you a little bit of a preview and then a prediction down there at the end and below. You can see the little side ticker that I got going right there. So if you like the video, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then comment down below. I want to hear your predictions. Let me hear your thoughts. Do you think Ohio State's about to run us out of the stadium? Because that seems to be the prevailing thought and opinion. And we'll get right to that on this one. If you go and you look at the betting public, right now the betting public, they are very much on the side of the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are 90. You got when you look at you got 90% of the bets for the spread are going towards. No, sorry, 90%, 80% of the bets for the spread going towards Ohio State. 90% of the money on the spread going towards Ohio State. That's a lot further away from 50% than 62% and 65%, which you can see in the percent of money on the spread and percent of bets on the spread for Notre Dame and Penn State. You can see the 1.5 point spread on that game, 5.5 point spread for Texas. In this site, you got ESPN Bet that's now moved to 6. All that to say, there's a lot of confidence on the Ohio State side. A lot of people are putting money on Ohio State, and that kind of leads me to the immediate thoughts. I mean, you can see right here, I have overlooking Texas. A little bit of surprise there coming up in a second, but is the world overlooking Texas? I it kind of feels that way. This is a Texas team that it really feels like they don't need any extra motivation. But I mean, let's be honest, a lot closer game than it should have been versus Arizona State. Uh, they kind of that's kind of a hard one to go on, but we're going to talk about the third quarter here in a second. Uh, but it's just right now there's just everybody is like basically saying, "Hey, Ohio State, they're if they both play perfect games, Ohio State, if they both play their best game, Ohio State wins 10 out of 10 times." That's basically what the prevailing thoughts and opinion is, outside of just the Texas media landscape, and even some Texas media members. They're like you got CJ Vogel's predicting a 10-point loss for Texas, and the Texas fans are on his ass, on his ass. Y'all are on his ass. So we'll have to see how that goes down, but it's just it feels like there's a lot of confidence on Ohio State, and there's the whole thing about, hey, they had the Michigan game, they've already been at rock bottom, right? That was a way for them to respond to adversity coming into these next two playoff games, just scorching hot. But I do wonder how they're going to be able to handle success. I mean, they've handled failure pretty damn well. That's inarguable at this point. But how do they handle success? That's going to have to be seen. Now, I said we're going to talk about the third quarter. I mean, we got to talk about that thing. The Texas Longhorns, off the top of my head, we've scored 16 points ever since Vanderbilt through Arizona State, and opponents have scored 62 points. It has been and also not a single, not one third quarter did we win. We didn't win a single third quarter versus any team. Florida, Kentucky, A&M, Arkansas, none of them. So, which is odd because we literally won every single quarter from the Colorado State game all the way through the first Georgia game. Even Georgia, we put 14 points to their nothing points on the board in the third quarter. So this was something that just showed up in the middle of the season, and it's like it was just a slap in the face. If you all remember, we used to have fourth quarter problems under Steve Sarkisian in 2021 with Casey Thompson. Well, we've started to develop some third quarter problems, and I think a lot of that comes down to the running game and the inability to run the ball when we have a lead, because that's what Steve Sarkisian wants to do. And then also that's kind of what his offense is. When you start getting out of the scripted plays, his offense he's trying to set up a balanced offense. If you're not having success running the football, is the opponent going to be forced to respect that side of the game? No, they're not, and they would be dumb to. That's why you start having safeties go back. That's why you start seeing guys. They're rushing only 3 to 4 guys while they're also being able to stop guys. So that is what it is, and this also it doesn't take me to my next point, but this is the surprise right here. This is the game of the century for me. I think going in, I think that this is people are going to talk about this game as the game of the century. I think that this is going to be some. I don't necessarily want to say it yet, but I'm almost dead. I'm almost going on the side that this is going to be a very low scoring game. So you see that over under total. I'm almost thinking, hey, hammer the under, because you got two. You're going to see it here in a second. Next slide. These are two very, very good defenses going up against each other right now. Probably this is likely in all likelihood number one and number two defense going up against each other. Now they do have some very solid offenses, but if we've learned anything, defense wins championships. Go and look at where all the CFP ranked teams rank in the defense. It's a very high likelihood that most of them are in the top 15. And every single one that's surviving is in the top 10. So defense is going to be offense. If you play smart defense, it is going to be offense. It's just going to happen. Look at the Georgia game. That was a low scoring game. Should have been Texas win 16-13 or something like that. Is what it, or 19-16. But that is what it is, and also we can't rely on our kicker right now. I mean, that's another thing. It is what it is. But all that to say, I think that this is going to be an incredibly close game. I think this is going to be a great game to watch. If you're a college football fan, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. So going over here onto the team stats. Now, the Texas offense versus the Ohio State defense. This is the main thing that you want to watch for on this is the explosive plays. Can Ohio State, who has been one of the best teams in the nation, probably the best team, because if you want to look at explosive plays, this is going to go for both teams. Them playing in the playoffs gives them a little bit of advantage on the offensive side for adding explosive plays. You're playing extra games that other teams aren't. So while other teams are sitting there dormant, your numbers keep on rising. But on the flip side, you're gonna start giving up explosive plays. Like the Texas defense is probably the best defense at limiting explosive plays, but we're ranked number 7th. So keep that in mind. But nevertheless, this is an extremely high explosive play offense in Texas going up against an extremely high limiting explosive play defense in Ohio State. And then on the other side, they're the number 1 ranked team in opponent points per game, yards per game, and yards per play. They're number 2 in opponent red zone scoring, which we have not been good at. A large part of that is because of their run defense, and a large part of that is because our lack of ability to run the football. So that tells me, hey, right off the bat, Texas is going to need to score explosives to get in the end zone, which lends itself to be a low-scoring game. Nevertheless, I mean, we move the ball well through the air, but hey, look at Ohio State's pass defense. They have a really good pass defense. Now, I think when you look at their pass defense, you go, okay, they must have some really great guys, just like Texas does. They got they got great cover corners, great cover safeties. They're not bad, but I think this is more of a product of them getting after the quarterback and getting to the quarterback a lot, sacking him, which should be very interesting watching them going up against what should be. Texas is probably one of the better teams in the nation as far as pass blocking goes. So that will be very interesting to watch. And on the Ohio State defense versus the Texas offensive side, I mean, look, the numbers 4-3-2-9-7-3. This defense is probably the number 1 defense in college football. I'll still stand on that. Even though we're about to go against Ohio State, I think this defense is about to prove it. And either way, I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, Ohio State, let's give them the credit. They are the number 1 defense. But even if this is the number 2 defense, Ohio State has a very good offense, yes. But their strength does not match up against our strength well. This is a team that is going to cover well. Not just at the cornerback level, at the back end level with the safeties. Ohio State is going to need to get the ball running on the ground. You saw what happened before Cam Scatterboo started running versus Arizona State. Arizona State was in a blender. They were done. And the moment that he started to run, then they could start. That opened up the passing game for them. They started to have a little bit of success. And honestly, even then, most of their success in the passing game came from them faking a running play where, Cam Scatterboo threw the ball. So we'll see. But I think that the key to this is limited. The key for Texas, we're going to talk about this for keys, but Ohio State, this is a favorable matchup, I think, for the Texas defense. Ohio State has some very, very good running backs, yes, and they're probably two of the best running backs in the country. But running the football is not what Ohio State majors in, and if you go back to the Michigan game, them trying to run the football too much, that cost them the game most likely versus Michigan. So we'll have to watch that, but on to the keys for Ohio State to win. 1 second here. Sorry. So, keys for Ohio State to win. And this is just simple. Just shut Texas down in the red zone and shut down the running game. Now, I don't think that. Also, I will say a little caveat to the running game. I think Texas has the ability to win the game, even if Ohio State shuts down the running game. Even if they shut down those extensions of the run game plays. But this is one of those things where Ohio State, this is a likely thing that's going to happen. They just need to keep Texas, they need to limit the red zone scores through the air. If they can do that, then it's just a matter of if their offense is scoring, which that goes to the other part of the keys to the win. Will Howard has to have one heck of a game versus Texas. It is what it is. End of story. If he does not go out there and have an amazing game versus Texas, it's this low. It's a coin flip almost on who's going to win the game, and man, it's just going to come down to whether or not he has multiple interceptions and no touchdown, or one touchdown and multiple interceptions, or multiple touchdowns and no interceptions, and just stat sheet lights it up. Jeremiah Smith lights it up, or Egbukas lights it up. But there's a reason why they're coming in with so much favoritism in the media, and it's because they've been playing some doggone good football. And another key for them to win the game is third downs, or not third downs. Third quarter. Own the third quarter. I know a lot of people are sitting there saying, hey, get out to a hot start versus Texas. I don't think that matters. As far as I'm concerned, Texas could have a 28-point lead at the half. And it wouldn't. I've seen Steve Sarkisian teams enough times give up a 28, 21-point lead at the half and make it either a close game or lose the game. Look at 2022 versus Oklahoma, or 2021. I mean to say, it's just, it is what it is, and until it is what it is until it stops being it is what it is. And so, shut down Texas in the third quarter. That's a big key for the game for Ohio State to win this ball game. Now, Texas, let's just go ahead and start. Obviously, win the third quarter. Win the third quarter. And, I think that there's probably a good chance that Texas is out there winning the football game. Winning the running game. If Texas is out, if you tell me right now, if you were to say, hey, Nash, Trey Wisner and Jaden Blue both run for 100 yards. Or even Trey Wisner runs for 156 yards on 19 carries or something like that. Or 20, just not 35 carries or something, ludicrous amount of carries where it's only 2.5 yards or 3.9 yards, but he's gotten to such a high number because of volume. If you're telling me that we destroy them on the in the running game, I'm buying a flight right now, and I'm going and putting every last dollar I got in Vegas on Texas winning the football game. That's the level of it, the importance of this running game going. Now, like I said before, I don't think that Texas needs to run the ball. because going into this game, I mean, look, Texas. There's a very solid chance that Texas is not going to run the ball worth a shit on this team. They got extremely good run defense safeties. They got extremely good linebackers in the run defense. They got an extremely good defensive line defending the run. This is a team that can defend the like. This is a top 5 run defense, easily, without a doubt. Like no hesitation in saying that. So it would be wise when you have a team that is struggling to run. Like look, don't abandon it completely. I'm not saying that, right? But maybe you work around it. Maybe you design a game plan to work around it because look, if it's there, it's there. You just if we're pounding the shit out of them on the ground, screw it. Duo, zones, just run that shit, right? Run the ball, open up the play action. Would love it. But it's gonna come down to a matter of can Texas run the ball efficiently? Can we win the third down? And then the last key to the game, really, I know a lot of people want Quinn Ewers to have a great game. I'm not necessarily saying it's hinging on that because, one, you want Quinn Ewers to have a great game. You do, right? But I just think we need red zone success. We need success in the red zone. We need guys, if there's a 50-50 ball, that there's a ball to be made a play on for both guys, wide receivers, y'all need to come down. We need our wide receivers to come down with that. Another key would be getting like Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond's presence in the goal line area, his speed, with little screens and things like that of that nature. When you're in a short area, that could be a little bit of a dangerous thing. And also, if he's back to full health, the entire football field he's dangerous on. So that will be very interesting to watch with a healthy him and Quinn having confidence in Matthew Golden. That'll be very interesting to watch. So going on to the stars for Ohio State, this one, I mean, like, look, there were so many stars for Ohio State. It was hard to limit it down to 8 guys. But Jeremiah Smith, what else can you say? Leading wide receiver, 19 years old, 14 touchdowns, 1,224 yards, 2 100-plus yard games with 2 touchdowns in the college football playoffs so far. So the last 2 games on a hot streak. Leads the Big Ten in receiving as a true freshman. This dude is absolutely insane. Right now, if you were to go back and look, if you were to put him in the Texas record books and, just compare, where would he sit with the Texas record books? Sorry about that. He'd be sitting pretty damn high up right now. And when I mean damn high, I mean like he'd be sitting there like 2, 3, 4, and all, and actually he would lead in touchdowns receiving, for all Texas receivers. So an amazing year from Jeremiah Smith. Travion Henderson, leading rusher, 925 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns in the last 3 games. So he's really hot. 1B behind Judkins is the 1A. Judkins gets the majority of the volume. Not by a large amount, right? It's a little bit more volume, but they're almost dead on in total yardage. Judkins right 1 yard below him with the same amount of touchdowns. Hasn't really had, super big games as of late, like 50 yards, 34 yards, 70 yards, right? Nothing that really just grabs your eye, but let's be honest, Texas would love to have him on our roster right now. Emeka Egbuka, he's wide receiver 1 in almost every other college in America right now. This is a 5-star guy that it's just unfortunate for him because he should probably be having like an 1,200 yard year himself, but Jeremiah Smith's on the roster, so what can you do? 896 yards, 10 touchdowns, 1 of 19 players in college football. So all of the FBS with 10 or more touchdowns. This dude is legit. Cody Simon, second on the team in tackles for loss, 11.5. Leads the team in tackles. He's a linebacker, 97. Third in sacks, 7.0. So a thing that you're going to see with all these guys, a lot of sacks. Like I said before, it's not so much the coverage game that's going to be getting them getting a lot of stuff done for them. It's the run defense and it's sacking the quarterback. It's the defensive line. And that will be a very interesting battle watching watching guys like Kelvin Banks, excellent pass blocker, going up against these pass rushers. JT Tua. I should have practiced this before. Tui Moloau. Whatever. Team sack leader, 10 sacks. Team tackle for loss leader as well, 17 tackles for loss, 49 total tackles. And then you got Jack Sawyer, third in tackles for loss, 8 tackles. Uh, with second in sacks, 8 as well, 53 total tackles. This dude is an absolute pass rush monster, and he's pretty much like a pass rush specialist. Think of him a lot like how we use Colin Simmons. And then Caleb Downs, 6 passes broken up, 6.5 tackles lost, 72 total tackles. But this is a point. I want you to focus on the passes broken up. He's number 2 on the team, and he's number 2 on the team by a good margin. The highest pass broken up number they have on the team, 9. This is not a team that is living the same way that Texas does. And you'll see right here, I'll just start from the back end. You got Andrew Makuba, who's 5 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. That's not even that. He would be second on he would make Caleb Downs third on their team, and he's not even third. He's not even second on our team. Uh, so highest graded cover safety in college football, 63 total tackles. Michael Taft right behind him is the second highest graded cover safety in college football. 2 interceptions, 10 pass breakups, 5.5 tackles for loss, 73 total tackles. Anthony Hill leads the team in tackles for loss, leads the team in tackles, 107, second in sacks with 7.5 sacks. Jahdae Barron is the nation's best defensive back, the Thorpe Award winner. 5 interceptions, 11 pass breakups, 61 total tackles. This dude is an absolute animal and total stud. It's really going to be a big thing when you go and you look at, hey, this Texas team, right? The defense kind of matches up really well when you're talking about what you're going to have to face in an Ohio State. Ohio State, yes, they do have very good running backs, and I'm not trying to downplay them all. But if you talk about what their strength is passing the football. Part of the reason why their strength is passing the football and not running the football is their offensive line. They've had so much inconsistency at the offensive line. They started to get some stabilization there recently. But really, man, their offensive line lacks really similar to Texas' offensive line. They just lack the ability to get the pass or get the run game going. And we'll have to see how our offensive line responds to that. They've been challenged for that now. But you go back and watch the Michigan game. I mean, when they try and rely on the run game, it doesn't work. The offensive line, they're just not getting the push that they need to. And then so you go to offensive stars for Texas. Quinn Ewers, 4 straight 200-yard games. 2 of those are 300-yard games. He's coming off one of his best games as a Texas Longhorn in his career. 3,189 yards, 29 touchdowns. He's giving us what we need, and what we needed last game was a championship level performance from a quarterback, and that was. Quinn Ewers, we're probably going to need another championship level performance this game because this is just one of those games where you need that. You either need a championship level performance from Quinn or this defense just has to have his back. One way or the other. Kelvin Banks is another guy that got to have his back. Left tackle, possibly the first guy in the NFL draft. This is a chance to go and solidify that chance as the first NFL tackle taking the first tackle taking the NFL draft. And then 2 sacks allowed in just over the last 1,000 snaps. Again, should be 1 sack. This dude is an absolute booking, and he's everything that you want on the left side, defending your quarterback's blind side. Then Matthew Golden, leading receiver, 936 yards. 2 of his last 3 games are the 2 best games in his career. And right now, Quinn has a lot of confidence in Matthew Golden. You can see it when he goes and targets him. When he targets him, where he targets him. Matthew Golden has a lot of Quinn's confidence, and that'll be interesting to watch with Isaiah Bond coming back, who the reports are that he is looking great and he's looking fast. And, it's like we got Isaiah Bond back from pre-Oklahoma injury. If we have that Isaiah Bond back, this is dangerous because Ohio State, they haven't been able to plan for that. Even if they can plan for it, how can you really plan for it when you haven't seen him? And last time you saw film on him was 8 weeks ago, So you don't know. Uh, 5 straight games over 51 yards before the injury. So we'll have to see if that continues. 532 yards, 55 touchdowns. So uh, this is definitely a dangerous guy for the Texas Longhorns. And man, would it be nice? Would it be ever nice to get him going for us? So that's gonna take us on to our prediction. I know, and I appreciate if you are still here. I do appreciate it. Let me remind you, hey, drop your prediction down below in the comment section. And if you'd like this video, if you're still here, like the video. Really do appreciate it and subscribe to the channel again. But time for the predictions, and I really cannot shake how much I think this is going to be a low scoring battle. I almost, oh man, look, Texas is not. I have doubts on how much we're trusting our kicker right now. Just team in general, the way that they talk about him, I'm calling it what it is, how I see it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Screw it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. Everybody knows I'm one of the most pro player people out there. Just the way that I see them talk about it, it's just like when his name gets brought up, it's like let's talk about something else, right? Uh, I don't know. It's really tough for me. I don't think we're going to be kicking many field goals. I don't think we're going to be attempting many field goals, and if we are, Bible ain't working for me anymore. So maybe it works for you, but grab Bible. Yeah, it's just I don't know. The way that you look at this game, their pass offense really heavy. Everything that we've talked about. I'm gonna, and this is just me off the top of my head. I'm going 17 Texas. I know I just said no field goals, but we got one field goal in there. 17 Texas, 13 Ohio State. Texas Longhorns win. And a just massive, just look. Actually, here, that's my prediction. 17-13. But this game's going one or two ways. I'm gonna give my hedge right now. My hedge is that this game ends up being like an offensive just juggernaut shootout. But I don't see that with these defenses. I really don't. I really don't. It's hard for me to see these defenses letting up a big game. But if it were to get to like a crazy game, man, maybe you get like a 31-27 or 31-28 point victory for Texas. No matter what, I just have a gut feeling that Texas is going to win this game and win it close. I know that for certain in my gut. That's what my gut feels. My intuition tells me that this is going to be a very low scoring game. So that is going to be my official prediction. But having said all that, still remember what I said about the whole this could be an offensive shootout thing because you got there's a lot of offense in this game. There's some very good offensive minds. Chip Kelly is a very good offensive mind for Ohio State. He's got some very talented players, but Texas has played against Will Howard very well. So I mean, there's both ways to look at this, but either way, the one thing that you can't deny, these two teams, this is the best team that Ohio State's going to play all year long, and this is the best team that Texas is going to play all year long. And it's probably going to be that way even after the national championship is done being played. So we'll have to see how this goes. But again, 17-13, Texas Longhorns come out with the victory. Yeah. I hope I'm right, and I hope we're going to the national championship. All right, everybody. Hope you all have a great day, and hope we get a win tomorrow. Okay.